tell the truth. I was preparing something to share today, and at the last minute, I decided that rather than sharing that story, I would come and speak from the heart. And so today, I went for a walk just around my block. I live in Coquitlam, and there's this nice trail by my house. I was telling my friends here that I went for dinner with before the show, I'm like, I know what I'm going to open with, though, because something really cool happened to me today. I can't tell you, though. You're going to find out tonight. So this is what it is. Okay, so I'm going for a walk through this trail. And it's a nice day, earlier around noon. And I'm kind of just looking up in the trees, feeling the wind, feeling very peaceful, very calm. And this bird flies above my head. And I see it fly in front of me, and I'm like, wow, and it's like a huge bird. I'm like, whoa, what is that? And I look up, and it lands on this branch, and then it turns, and it looks at me, and it's an owl, a beautiful gray owl. And I was like, whoa, I'm like, this is meant just for me. I'm like, my logical mind goes, I need to Google it and see what it means. Obviously, though, owls, wisdom. So I'm like, yes, I am wise. I like connect with the owl. And I'm like, oh, and I feel grounded and I feel centered. And I'm like, I'm powerful. Nothing can shake me, nothing can rattle me, no matter what happens. Thank you. Thank you, Source. Thank you, God. Thank you, Universe, for this sign. And then I'm like, I gotta take a picture. So then I take a picture of the owl. And I'm like, oh yeah, this is awesome. I feel so good for tonight. And I'm walking, I'm holding a coffee, and all of a sudden, boom, at the back of my head. The owl comes and claws the back of my head. I'm not shitting you. It comes and claws the back of my fucking head. I'm like, what the fuck? And I'm like, what is that? Why are you doing this to me? I was flabbergasted. I'm like, what does that mean? What is that supposed to mean? I could not believe it. And so then I Google it. And I didn't say, like, what does it mean when an owl comes and claws the back of your head? But I just put into Google, I put owl meaning. And this is what came up. The very first thing, if you Google it, it'll come up. It says, the owl was a symbol for Athena, goddess of wisdom. And according to myth, an owl sat on Athena's blind side so that she could see the whole truth. And tonight's theme is tell the truth. So the whole truth, really? I'm like, come on. They don't need to hear the whole truth. My little sister's here. 16? Yeah, so there's some X-rated parts that I will censor. But what does the whole truth mean, right? What does it mean to me, the whole truth? So this is what I pondered as I walked around my block. So I came, and then I'm walking down the street. I'm walking now in the residential area. And I'm all about signs, right? Like, what does it mean? What does it mean? I'm looking for signs. And I hear a noise, and I look to my left, and I see a food truck. And it says, Big Daddy Food Truck. I'm like, Big Daddy Food Truck? Oh, daddy issues. Yeah. See, when I was 12 years old, my parents divorced. And they went through a really ugly custody battle, as some parents do. My mom won the custody battle, but my dad wouldn't have that. So what happened is my dad said to my brother Eli and I, he told us, we're going to leave the country. You guys can't tell anybody. So I always did what my dad said because daddy issues, control, and I acquiesced. So we packed up a backpack and we met my dad, and he took us out of the country. We fled the country. We landed in a little tiny country island called Samoa in the middle of the South Pacific. Smallest, tiniest country island in all the South Pacific. So we get here and we have nothing. We're on our mountain bikes. My dad spent all the money because we traveled before that, so we've got nothing but our backpacks. And my dad manages to find a family. We move in with them, and we start going to school there. Only when I'm going to school in Samoa, I have no friends, and I don't speak the language, and I become like the loser. So I'm teased, and I'm like made fun of. And it was really hard because I came from Canada where I was the cool chick, but in Samoa, nobody liked me. So that's where I first started to form this insecurity of I'm not enough, and people don't like me. We lived with a family who had 2 daughters, and one of the daughters was the same age as me. And we shared the same room, the 3 of us. And I can remember one day, I overheard a conversation of the daughter that was the same age as me, and she was talking to her cousin. I was in a different room, so she didn't know I was listening, but I heard her say, yeah, I don't know how long they're going to live here for, but I just wish they would leave already. So, as a kid, it hurts to hear that you're not wanted. But we did leave. My brother and I left, and we came back to Canada. And so now that I had this insecurity that I wasn't enough, I had to make new friends, come back to Canada, but now we're the kids that were on the missing posters, right? We're the kids that got kidnapped by their dad. So there's a lot of rumors and stigma around me and my brother. So we go to a new school and I start hanging out with the bad kids, the wrong crowd. Eventually, I drop out of school, I get kicked out of my home, and I go into foster care. So again, living in foster care just kind of pours more salt into the wound that says you're not enough. Nobody wants you, nobody likes you, nobody loves you, and you're a burden. But I never faced it. I didn't admit that to myself. I just ran away from that feeling. I suppressed it. I shoved it down deep, and I put on this facade. I had an ego that was like, nah, nothing can faze me. I got this. And I became this strong, independent woman. But that wasn't who I really was. Who I was inside was this insecure little girl. So my journey led me to drinking and doing drugs and choosing wrong men. I ended up getting into an abusive relationship. This man that I chose, him and I moved back to Samoa, where my dad was, and we ended up living in Samoa. We got jobs. He got a job managing a surf resort. I became a photographer. This is by the age of 21. Life was pretty good on the outside, but on the inside, I still had that pain that I hadn't healed from. And so to numb the pain, I then took up a crystal meth addiction, and I became addicted to crystal meth. Eventually, my abusive boyfriend lost his life to drugs. I decided to try to make it work in Samoa. After we lost everything, I had to pick up the pieces, move to a different island, and start over again. And I did start over again. Started managing a bar, started working, started getting friends, and then somebody came into the bar with some crystal meth. And I took the drug and lost everything. Moved away the 3rd time to Hawaii to start over yet again. This time, nobody knows me. I'll get in with a new crowd. It'll be good here. So I do. I get a job, start landscaping, meeting friends. And at the landscaping site that I was working at, somebody came in with, some crystal meth. And I remember when she handed me the pipe, I looked at it, and I was like, no, don't. It's just going to destroy everything. But I did. I took it, and like a bad rerun, I lost everything again. So the 3rd time I ended up homeless. I was then living in bus stations, in church parking lots, and just trying to keep it together. I decided that I'm going to lose my life too if I don't smarten up. So I packed up everything, I moved down to the beach, and I just connected. I connected with myself. I connected with my worth, with my truth, with who I really am, not all the labels that everybody placed on me. And I sobered up. Every now and then, I'd have to go into town, and I'd hitchhike in. I'd pick up food and water at the food bank. And I remember this one time I'm coming back, and I get dropped off by the guy who had picked me up hitchhiking. He drops me off at the top of the beach before I hike down. And as I'm about to get out of his car, he says to me in his Hawaiian accent, "Hey sis, you like try some of the kind?" And I look over at him, and he's holding a crystal meth pipe. Again, I'm flooded with these feelings, the crave. And for the first time in my life, I say no. No, I don't want that. And I get out of the car and I feel on top of the world. Like I did it. I said no. You know, I'm better than that. And I walked down to my beach. And then in Hawaii, when it became nighttime, the stars are incredible. And I remember looking up at the stars, into the Hawaiian night sky, and just gazing and feeling grateful, feeling like reborn, you know, like my life can now begin. And then I saw a shooting star, and it fell in slow motion from the top corner of the sky all the way down to the bottom. And it was like God or the universe was saying to me, "You did it. You got this." And I did. I turned my life around. So I moved back to Canada and reconnected with my family. There was a lot of shame there because I was the meth addict that I thought everybody knew. I was this meth addict, you know? So I shamed myself. But I slowly started just doing the work, the personal development, the work that I needed to do to understand that there is nothing wrong with me. I'm not a burden. I couldn't do the work until I faced that insecurity that I had been running from my whole life. And what helped me to face it was having an intention, having a purpose. I searched and searched for purpose till I finally just surrendered to whatever came up for me, surrendered to the synchronicities, to the people, to the places, to the things that just came into my path, because I stopped trying to control life and allowed it to just flow. And my life did. It flowed very, very magically. And so that's my truth. That's my story. No longer is my story, I'm this shameful crystal meth addict. My story is now, I'm a powerful, loving being that is connected to all these other powerful, loving beings. I truly know that we are all one. We are. That's our fundamental natures: energy, consciousness, humanity. We can connect from that level of humanity. I'm thankful for all that I've been through, because it gives me that opportunity not to judge anyone. Now that I've been to hell and back, I can only imagine what others have been through. So when we get curious and we learn about others, we can suspend that judgment and we can come together. Thank you.